Hello, and welcome to the Steve and Mark Discuss podcast, where, as normal, Steve will be raising a subject. I will listen and offer my opinions on what he says. He will then offer opinions on what I say and may alter his thinking. Who knows? Okay. Yeah, open-minded to the Steve is. Okay, over to you, Steve.
Hi, people. Um, on both sides of the ocean, um, a couple of towns or cities decided for good or for bad to cancel Christmas celebrations. Some of the reasons they gave, uh, amongst others, is because they didn't want to offend any other religious entities during this time. Of course, we all know the writing on the wall there. And so what I decided to do is I did a bit of research and find out more about this thing we call Christmas, what it actually is, where did it come from, you know. So basically what we're going to have over the next 5 minutes is a very brief uh, run through the last 1,500 years, something like that. But there you go. So we know in the UK, when I speak about the origins of Christmas, uh, in this context, it'll be within the UK.
Mm.
Okay, we all know that many religious Christian celebrations that we know today are or were pagan rituals and celebrations many many years ago.
Yeah.
And with the advent of Christianity, the church has decided to make their celebrations uh, at the same time, so as to stifle the uh, the paganism of the right. Put it like this way. So a typical example is in the 8th century of England. In April, uh, it was Estramath,
Mm.
which was Estra month, uh, which was named after the goddess of Estra.
Mm.
Right. So that today we know as Easter,
Yeah.
and Easter is nothing to do with goddess of Estra. It's to do with um, the re-rising of Christ.
The crucifixion, the rising of the Christ, the
And
Messiah, or
yeah,
Jesus,
right.
whichever. Yeah.
So uh, as in Easter, Christmas is was no different.
Mm.
So uh, before it was called Christmas, it was celebrated by the ancient Romans
Yeah.
as Saturnario,
Mm.
and it was on 25th of December, or
Mm.
in the Julian calendar, and it was to celebrate the rebirth of the year,
Mm.
and the winter solstice, and the rebirthing of the year,
Yeah.
and it was to also to venerate or to celebrate the god Saturn.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, Saint Augustine of Canterbury
Mm.
was the person to begin Christmas celebrations in the UK, in England,
Mm.
in the year 597, when he baptized 10,000 Saxons.
Mm.
Now, this time, this celebration, nor the next two celebrations at this same time, on the 20th of December,
Mm.
Jesus wasn't even mentioned. It was just a celebration. And why was this? Is because the Romans were also were also in England at this time,
Mm.
and so basically the Christians got together with the Romans
Mm.
and just mingled in
Mm.
while the Romans were venerating Saturn.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
Christians were baptized in the Saxons,
Mm.
into Christianity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Become Christian. It was a recruitment drive, if you like.
Okay.
Pope Gregory, he wrote to Augustine to keep the celebrations going and
Mm.
absorb traditional celebrations into the mix,
Mm.
which basically is, keep in there, don't give up,
Mm. Yeah.
and accept what the Romans are doing.
Mm.
It's all part and parcel.
Each their own. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in the 9th century, King Alfred declared no work to be done over the 12 days of Christmas,
Mm.
which would have many commercial people these days going up the walls.
Mm.
They did that. What I thought was interesting is wassailing started around about the time in the ninth century,
Mm.
and I'm a bit of a folkie at heart. When
Yeah.
I was younger, I was involved with folk music,
Yeah.
and so wassailing is something that um, I like to listen to songs
Mm.
about wassailing.
Yeah.
What it's all about. And so it means Wace Hail, which means good health in
Yeah.
Saxon. Christmas Day celebrated the crowning of Edmund Martyr, King of East Anglia, in
Mm.
855, and also William the Conqueror in 1066.
Mm.
During the Tudor and medieval periods, for the poor went Thomasing,
Mm.
and basically they knocked on people's doors asking for help,
Mm.
a penny or two
Yeah.
to help them get over the winter, to get over the Christmas period. And Boxing Day. Why has Boxing Day got the name Boxing Day?
Okay. I want to
You
hear
know,
your version. Yeah.
well, when I was researching this, my eyes got wider and wider.
Yeah.
Boxing Day is because the day after Christmas, on the 26th, the poor boxes were
Mm.
opened by the church
Mm.
and divided between the poor of the parish.
Mm.
Right, so that's why it's called Boxing Day, because you'd open the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
We're gonna, um,
So.
in 1215,
Yeah.
the Magna Carta was signed.
Yeah.
But in this time period also, the traditional centerpiece of a Christmas table was the boar's head.
Yeah.
Now, I remember a carol, the boar's head in hand bear I, bedecked with bays of rosemary,
Mm.
which I used to sing when I was a whippersnapper when I was about 10
Yeah.
years old, I suppose, 10, 11 years old. It was either a boar's head or it was a pig's head.
Yeah.
So David Cameron would have been well pleased if it was a pig's head.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm going there.
Keep it traditional, David. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And around about this time as well, the churches formed the choirs,
Mm.
their choirs for the first time, which I thought was
Yeah.
interesting. In 1251, Henry III held a huge party for the wedding of his daughter to the King of Scotland.
Yeah.
She was 11 years old, and the groom was 10.
Mm. The lines.
10 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the laws allowed it back then.
I think it's a betrothal award as a marriage. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Enough about that.
Yes.
And around about this time as well, mumming plays became popular again. Now, mumming plays,
Mm.
once again, when I was about 20 years old, 19, 20 years old,
Mm.
I'm going to open myself up a little bit here. When I was about 16, 17 to 20, 21 years old, I used to do Morris dancing. I was a Morris dancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every Christmas we used to go around and do mumming plays. And it was interesting to see here, more or less when they became popular. 1348, from around about 1348 to 1377, they were really, really popular in England. In 1377, King Richard II saw a parade of 100 mummers in London at Christmas. Christmas was banned, has been banned before.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas was banned in Scotland in 1560 by that John Knox.
Yeah.
He said that dancing and singing and drinking was debauchery.
Very debauchery. Yeah. Real hardcore. Yeah. So
and if people were found enjoying themselves, they were punished.
Yeah.
In 1602, King James I reinstated it.
Yeah.
But then it was banned again in 1640 by the Scottish Parliament.
Yeah.
And it was only made a public holiday up there in Scotland in 1958. And Boxing Day, believe it or not, only in 1974. Victorian period, of course, we got the Charles Dickens and who wrote about Christmas.
He reignited it with A Christmas Carol, Scrooge. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's starting to lose its appeal, and then when he came, I mean, the other thing is Christmas was essentially banned in the UK sometime between 1642 and after 1649, sorry, with Oliver Cromwell. Christmas was effectively banned then as well, under a very, very strong zealously Protestant administration. I mean, it's people did celebrate it quietly, but it was seen associated with Catholicism as well, I believe, or Popism. Yeah. Popism. I mean, as a Catholic, I was taught all this. My family are actually Protestants, the majority are. I come from a converted Catholic side. Not I converted myself, but now as a Catholic, we were taught all this. I was also taught about Christmas. Actually, when you read the Bible scripture, there's very little actually said about Christmas to us particularly as a Catholic.
Well, in the Bible, they don't mention when Jesus was born.
No, that's what I'm about to say next. I mean, for us, Easter, you just mentioned Easter, is an important time spiritually. Yeah. The fact that Jesus was born 33 years before at some point is a little bit immaterial. Christmas doesn't, I was brought up in a world that Christmas didn't always have the same importance. Obviously, as children, it does. Then you grow up a bit, and obviously the spiritual side, and I'm not a great, don't hold me as being a great example of Christianity or Catholicism, but it was Easter that was the important time spiritually. Now we were even taught then that it's very unlikely that Jesus was born in December, even in Israel or Nazareth, or Canaan, whatever name you're putting on it. He would have been born probably beginning of October at the very latest this time, even with the Julian calendar reinvent, which is a bit wrong by 4 to 6 years as well. But Jesus was born before AD, before 0 AD, 4 to 6 before 0 AD. He's probably born August time, September time, when the shepherds would have been still in Israel, attending their herds. The first Christmas actually involved low life people. The shepherds were considered quite unholy because they didn't attend. They didn't attend religious services because they're always busy up on the hillsides, and they were a different class of people. Again, I mean, obviously, it was a fast-growing faith or religion in 2,000 years, which is a short time in human history compared with other religions. It has actually got over, nearly getting, I believe, 2 billion people. Islam is probably the quickest, fastest growing ever for some reason. Yeah. Obviously, both. We could argue about the roots of them, where they come from. I mean, it's certain that, the Catholic or the Christian Church actually had a good PR department with managing to push itself. I mean, it did absorb ideas. I mean, the Romans did this as well. The Romans would move into a country, absorb some of the religion, even absorb the religious days, even absorb worshipping some of the gods of the local traditions or the deities of the locals. Yeah. Christianity at first was outlawed by the Roman Empire. I don't believe because it was they'd probably take it on. It's because what it represented. It was a rebellious, or seen as a rebellious religion or cult. Yeah, remember, these were all cults at the time. Even going to the 5th century would have been still regarded as a bit of a cult. I mean, we were taught about all this at school, at a Catholic school. So what you've just told me is not of any great shock. Funny enough, when you actually read the prophecies, though, this thing also by some, like you say, some more zealously Protestant, stroke evangelical people today, they do see Christmas as a dangerous thing to celebrate because it is associated with paganism. Yeah, moving away from what was a Christian ideal into celebration of pagan, although we're not directly doing it.
No,
Catholicism
I think it's coming away from the religious side and more the commercial side.
Well, absolutely. I mean that's been happening. I mean, the joke we used to have when I was at school and again, growing up was, I hear the Christians are trying to get in on the Christmas act again. Yeah. I mean, what makes Christmas? Is to go into the shopping malls and see the Christmas trees, and it's incredible for children. As an adult, I look at it. I mean, I like some of the music. I like some of the ideas. The ideas that people are actually nice to each other for a while. It's quite a nice feeling, even if it may be a little bit forced. I mean, that's the spirit of it, and that's what Dickens tried to evoke in what he did, the rebirth, the idea of reform. A spiritualist, and sorry, Dickens was actually quite a progressive for his time as well, remembering. We are. So as I said, when we start studying the philosophy behind it all, and as you say, Easter's associated with another time. There's no saying when. Well, again, it does tie in a little bit with the Jewish timing, but again, it's, as you say, Easter is about a pagan thing, but we're sticking with Christmas here at the moment.
Well, Christmas was also a pagan thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, Saturnian. So this is the fear that we're actually celebrating a pagan festival.
Coming back to God, Saturn the god. Well, not sure about that.
But we don't. But I don't have a picture of Saturn
no, me neither.
In my room. I have a Christmas tree. We have crucifixes in the house here. Again, it's always contentious about statues and all that with other Christians sometimes, what they represent. We don't worship. It's not idolatry. Idolatry.
Idolatry.
Because we're not worshipping the statue. We're worshipping what it represents. And it's the same with Christian art and everything else. Some people are scared of that. It's what it represents. It doesn't mean we look at that and think, oh, that's an image of Christ. That's exactly what he looked like. Or Jesus, sorry. Jesus. We don't know what Jesus looked like. He probably wasn't a 6'2" Aryan. when
No.
he was born. And again, looking back over who Joseph was, there is actually the writing of Joseph's family tree, which goes back to Jacob and Abraham. So Joseph was quite well connected as a family, and he was a tradesman. He was a simple man. Also, this thing about him possibly being born in a humble stable possibly might not be totally correct either. He may have been born in a room of a family room in a house somewhere, yeah, because Joseph probably had connections. It's to do with the censer. We had to go back to his hometown for a censer, which was a tax reason for the Roman Empire. So that might not be totally true as well. I don't think it was deliberate spin. There may have been a slight problem with translation in that. But with all these things, it was certainly a humble place. There would have been animals in houses, don't forget. But yeah, so again, it would have been a little village, probably, a little, almost like we consider it a small town or a hamlet even, where Jesus was born. It had probably been known. Yes, the shepherds would have probably come and visited because they were visited by an apparition. And don't forget, the Jews were actually quite superstitious as well. Word would have probably got around. There's this guy being born, this baby child being born under very, very, as prophesied in their teachings, remembering that the Jews were very, very up on prophecies. Yeah. Especially, the Old Testament and things like this, which modern Christians are dismissing, which is a very dangerous thing to do if you are a Christian. Full stop. And I'm not turning this into a religious sermon. You can't
Too
anyway.
late.